Good morning, student. Welcome to the third lecture of unit number 5. In the last lecture, we had a discussion about ethical hacking process in which we have discussed three processes, that is formulating plan, executing plan, and the evaluating result. Along with this, we have discussed understanding the need to hack your own system and understanding the dangers your system face. And in this topic, we have discussed four dangers that our system can face, like non-technical attacks, network infrastructure attack, operating system attacks, application and other specialized attacks. So now in today's lecture, we will discuss who breaks into computer system. So computer hackers have been around for decades. Since the internet became widely used in the 1990s, the mainstream public has started to hear more and more about hacking. Only a few hackers, such as John Draper, who is a well-known hacker and who is also known as Captain Crunch, and Kevin Mitnick. These are the two very popular hackers, and many more unknown hackers are looking to make a name for themselves. So, in a word of black and white, describing the typical hacker is very easy. But the historical stereotype of hacker is an antisocial, pimply faced teenage boy. But the word has many shades of gray and many types of people doing the hacking, which is unauthorized hacking. So hackers are unique individuals. So an exact profile is hard to outline. So basically, the hacker skills level, which are categories depending on which are categories by using the name of colors, are fall into three categories. First one is basically there are three categories, but we have six categories. So first one is the script kiddies, criminal hackers, security researchers, and along with this we have some more hacker types, that is hacktivist, cyber terrorist, and hackers for hire. So we will discuss one by one each and every category. So first let's discuss script kiddies. These are computer novices who take advantage of the exploit tools, vulnerability scanners, and documentation available free on the internet, but who don't have any real knowledge of what's really going on behind the skin. So they know just enough to cause your headaches, but typically are very sloppy in their actions, leaving all sorts of digital fingerprints behind. That means while doing hacking, they keep their digital footprints behind. So even though these guys are often the stereotypical hackers that you hear about in the news, that you hear about in the media, they need only minimal skills to carry out their attacks. So this is all about the script kiddies. After that, we have criminal hackers, which are often referred to as crackers, because these are skilled criminal experts who write some of the hacking tools, including the script and other programs that the script kiddies and security professionals use. So these folks also write malware to carry out their exploits from the other side of the world. They can break into networks and computers and cover their tracks. They can even make it look like someone else hacked their someone hacked their victim systems. And sometimes people with the ill will intention may not be doing what's considered hacking, but nevertheless, they are abusing their privileges or somehow gaining unauthorized access. So, such as the 2015 incident, which involving Major League Baseball's Louis Cardinals and Houston Astros, thus the media glorifies it all as a hacking. So this is one of the well-known event which happened in 2015. So advanced hackers are often members of collectives that prefer to remain nameless. That means they maintain their anonymity. These hackers are very secretive and share information with their subordinates. Subordinate means they are lower rank hackers in the collectives only when they are deemed worthy. So typically for lower ranked hackers to be considered worthy, they must possess some unique information or take the gang-like approach and prove themselves through a high-profile hack. So these hackers are arguably some of your worst enemies in IT sector. After that, we have another well-known type, that is security researchers. So these people are highly technical and publicly known security experts who not only monitor and track computers, also track network and application vulnerabilities, but also write the tools and other codes to exploit them. So if these guys didn't exist, security professionals wouldn't have much in the way of open source and even certain commercial security testing tools. So there are good guys also, like white hat hackers, and bad guys also, like black hat hackers, and gray hat hackers are a little bit of both. And we have discussed about these all types of hackers which are categorized into which are categorized by the name of colors. So there are also blue hat hackers who are invited by software developers to find security flaws in their system. So regardless of age and complexion, hackers possesses curiosity, bravado, and often very sharp minds. Perhaps more important than hackers' skill level is his or her motivation only. That means instead of skills to being a hacker, it only requires a ill will intention or motivation. So another type that we have, hacktivist. So hacktivists try to disseminate political or social messages through their work. A hacktivist wants to raise public awareness of an issue, yet they want to remain anonymous because they also uh, they uh, they like to keep themselves nameless. So in many situations, these hackers will try to take you down if you express a view that's contrary to theirs. So examples of hacktivism are the websites that were defaced with the free caving messages that promoted freeing. Kevin Mitnick, who is the very popular hacker from prison from his famous hacking escapades. So other cases of activism includes messages about legalizing drugs, protest against the war, protest centered around wealth envy and big corporations, and just about any other social and political issue you can think of. And the another type that we have is a cyber terrorist. So cyber terrorists are both organized and unorganized, often backed up by the government agencies. So such type of hackers are both organized and unorganized, and they often backed up by the government agencies. So attack corporate or government computers and public utility infrastructures such as power grids and air traffic control towers. They crash critical systems, steal classified data, or expose the personal information of government employees. Countries take the threats these cyber terrorists pose so seriously that many mandate information security controls in crucial industries such as the power industry to protect essential systems against these attacks. And the last category that we have in this particular topic is hackers for hire. So hackers for hire are a part of organized crime on the internet, and many of these hackers hire out themselves or their denial of service, creating botnets for money and lots of it. So criminal hackers are in the minority, like the email spam kings of the world. Many of the nefarious acts from members of collectives that prefer to remain nameless are carried out by a small number of criminals. And so this is all about the topic that who breaks into your computer system. After that, planning and performing attacks. So in this particular topic, let's think about how you or others will plan and perform a hack attack to maximize what you get out of it. So attack styles vary widely, and understanding this will be helpful in protecting yourself. So some first point is that some hackers prepare far in advance of an attack. So it means that they gather small bits of information and methodically carry out their hacks. And these hackers are the most difficult to track. Another is other hackers, usually the unexperienced hacker like street kiddies that we have discussed already, act before they think through the consequences. So such hackers may try, for example, to telnet directly into organization's router. I think you have learned about telnet in your networking subjects. So to telnet directly into an organization's router without hiding their identities. Other hackers may try to launch a denial of service attack against a Microsoft Exchange server without first determining the version of Exchange or the patches that are installed. And these hackers usually are caught because they perform before they think about the consequences of the attack. After this, malicious users are all over the map. So some can be quite savvy based on their knowledge of the network and how IT operates inside the organization. And others go poking and prodding around into systems they shouldn't be in or shouldn't have had access to in the first place, and often do stupid things that lead security or network administrators back to them. So, although the underground is a community, many of the hackers, especially advanced hackers, do not share their information with the crowd, and most hackers do much of their work independently in order to remain anonymous. That means they don't reveal their identity, they don't reveal their names and other personal information. So hackers who network with one another use private message boards, anonymous email addresses, hackers website like dark web, and internet relay chat, that is IRC. You have seen such things in most of the Hollywood movies where hackers use private message boards, they use anonymous email address and some dark websites. So whatever the approach they take, most malicious attackers prey on ignorance, and they know some aspects of the real world security, like majority of the computer systems are not managed properly. It means that the computer systems are not properly patched, hardened, or monitored. So attackers can often fly below the radar of the average firewall, intrusion prevention system. Likewise, intrusion detection system, there is an intrusion prevention system or an access control system. So this is especially true for malicious users whose actions are often not monitored at all, while at the same time they have full access to the very environment they can exploit. The next point is that most network and security administrators simply can't keep up with the deluge of new vulnerabilities and attack methods. It means that these people often have too many tasks to stay on top of and too many other fires to put out. The network and security administrators may also fail to notice or respond to security events because of poor time management and goal setting, but that's for another discussion. Next is that information systems grow more complex every year. So this is yet another reason why overburdened administrators find it difficult to know what's happening across the wire and on the hard drives of their system. Mobile devices such as laptops, tablets, and phones are making things exponentially worse. So, time is an attacker's friend, and it's almost always on his or her side. So, by attacking through computers rather than in person, hackers have more control over the timing of their attack. Then, attacks can be carried out slowly, making them hard to detect. That means attacks can be carried out with proper planning and with proper performance, making them hard to detect. Then attacks are frequently carried out after typical business hours. It means that attacks are frequently carried out often in the middle of the night and from home in case of malicious users, and defenses are often weaker after hours with less physical security and less intrusion monitoring. So when the typical network administrator or security guard is sleeping, that time such type of attacks can be carried out. That means after the typical business hours. After that, the next topic is maintaining anonymity. So as we already discussed, hackers don't share their credentials with crowd. They try to remain nameless and anonymous. So how they maintain their anonymity? How they keep themselves nameless or isolated from the society? That we have to discuss in this particular topic. So how they maintain their anonymity? For that, there are 5 rules that they use to keep themselves remain anonymous or nameless. So the first point is that the hackers generally don't use Windows. So they don't use Windows operating system. Why? Because Windows is full of holes that can be exploited. Every month, Microsoft issues a security patch with the latest fixes, and these holes may allow spyware to infest, completely overcoming all your anonymity efforts. So any hacker worth his salts avoid Windows like the plow. Instead, they use security hardened open source operating system such as Tails and Vonix, that is WHONX, Vonix operating system. So to maintain anonymity, hackers don't use Windows. Okay, so the another rule is that they don't connect directly to the internet. So they don't connect directly to the internet. Avoid anyone tracking down your real IP address through using VPN services or Tor, that is TOR. They don't directly connect with the internet because through the internet anyone can track their real IP address by using virtual private networks and Tor. So virtual private network enables users. So by using VPN and Tor, they avoid tracking themselves. That means they avoid tracking their IP addresses because the virtual private network enables users to create encrypted private tunnel. Anyone attempting to trace from the internet site can only see the addresses of the VPN server. which could be a server located in any country around the world you choose. And another term is TOR. TOR is a whole network of nodes that route your traffic, and each node is only aware of the one in front and behind. That means is only aware of the two nodes who is in front of him and behind, and they don't know anything about the other nodes which are present in the network. So ultimately your traffic routes onto the normal internet from one of those nodes called an exit point, and that's why they don't directly connect to the internet. After that, they don't use real email addresses. As we have already discussed, they use anonymous email addresses and use dark websites and internet relay chat. It means that they don't use their real email addresses. So instead, they use anonymous email service or remailers. Anonymous email service allows hackers to email someone without trace backing to them, especially if coupled with virtual private network or Tor access. Now, we already discussed why they prefer virtual private network and Tor access. So, along with the VPN or Tor access, they use anonymous email services, and remailers are a services whereby you can send from a real email account, and the remailer will forward it on anonymously. That is the working of remailers. So some remailers enables return mail, but the risk is if the remailer itself is ever compromised, it would have a record of your real email address. So generally they prefer to use anonymous email service rather than remailers. So however, remailers can be chained together for additional layers of anonymity. And along with these rules, the fourth one is they don't use Google search engine. First thing is that they don't use Windows operating system. Instead, they use some open source operating system like Unix. They don't connect directly to the internet. Rather, they connect to the VPN or Tor. They don't use real email addresses. Rather than they use anonymous email addresses or remailer service. And the next point is that next rule is that they don't use Google search engine, because Google makes it their business to track everything you do in order to serve up adverts that you might click on. And as useful as the search engine is, there are ways to get the best out of it without compromising your identity. So services such as a start page serve up the Google result, but doesn't store IP addresses, cookies, or records of your search. So another thing is that DuckDuckGo also provides a similar service. So fourth important rule to maintain anonymity is that don't use Google search engine. And the last point is that don't use public Wi-Fi. As they don't connect directly to the internet, why they will connect through the public Wi-Fi? That is the another rule, that don't use public Wi-Fi, because two issues are there. First is having your computer's unique MAC address, that is your hardware address, media access control, recorded by the router of the public location. So along with your IP address, there is your MAC address, and which is recorded by the router of the public location. Although this is avoidable by MAC spoofing, but if you are ever traced back to your real MAC address, then you can be linked to your original computer. Your MAC address is unique hardware address which is associated with your laptop, with your computer. So if your MAC address is traced back, it means that it is possible to track your original hardware system. And add to this, any install CCTV and you are busted. Secondly, Wi-Fi hacking attacks are commonplace. A man in the middle attack over Wi-Fi will bypass all your hardened anonymity And admittedly, the other hackers will need to be on the same physical Wi-Fi network already, so he probably knows who you are anyway. So real world hackers add on may more layers of security to anonymize their activities. And however, these 5 rules are the most important and most useful rules to maintain your anonymity. And despite all these precautions, one of the subplots involves two elite hackers' enemies tracking each other down, uncovering each other's real world identities, and real invention of privacy. So these are the 5 rules that we have to keep remember while performing attacks or while performing hacking attacks. So in today's particular lecture, we have discussed about who breaks into computer system. In this, we have seen six types of hackers. First three are very well-known hackers, and remaining three are not in so much use. But first one is the script kiddies, second criminal hackers, security researchers, hacktivists, cyber terrorists, and hackers for hire. Another, planning and performing attack. For performing any attack, you have proper planning, then proper performance, and after that evaluation of that performance that we have seen in the ethical hacking process, formulating your plan, executing plan, and evaluating the results. After that, how to maintain anonymity, and for that we have discussed 5 rules. And with this lecture, your 5th unit is completed here.